All right, for today, we're going to finish, at least my students are going to finish the discussion on Chapter 7, going through some problems. I also have like a pre-test I'd like to go through as well today. So we are going to move rather quickly through these problems. But again, the goal here is just to get ready for the exam. As a reminder, guys, for my students, not Janet's, for my students, the assignments are due tonight at midnight, the 21st. And then our exam will be here on Tuesday the 26th, or scheduled to be on the 26th, which is a Tuesday. And we'll proceed from there, I guess. If we get any more snow. Hopefully we won't get more snow.
Is there supposed to be like a storm on Saturday though?
Saturday into Sunday, so I think we'll miss Tuesday, hopefully. It's supposed to get colder again, I think.
We don't need any more.
It's supposed to get colder, I think. All right. Janet's class, do you have any questions? Anybody? Michaela, yes. The exam opens up on Tuesday. At this point, if you want to do it earlier, just let me know. Okay? Let me know. That's with anybody in my class. Anybody in my class. All right. Let's look at what we have for our first problem. Just something simple, our margin of safety computation. Let's just go and do that one first. It is on page 378 of our book. And again, this is our assessment of risk with our budgets, right? With our analysis. How much risk are we at? So break-even point in units, give us a little more practice on doing those. On problem 40, we've got materials, labor, overhead, variable selling, and then we have our fixed costs below, both manufacturing and administration. And we also have a selling price of $812. So lots of things going on here. To get to a break-even point in units, the goal is to come up with a margin per unit. Contribution margin per unit. So if we have the selling price, we then can deduct all the variable expenses, starting with direct materials. So go ahead, if you have some paper or you have this problem, you can just kind of follow along. I'm going to do direct materials at $1.87. Direct labor at $1.70. Variable overhead at 57 cents. And variable selling and admin at a cost of 42 cents per unit. So I'm going to subtract all of those in order to get my contribution margin per unit. So hopefully someone can help me with this. Guys, I still don't have my glasses fixed. So I'm relying on you guys to help me out here. Brianna, thank you. 356 is what I get for a margin per unit. 356. Is that right, guys? Can someone audit that? 350? Yeah. That looks good. Excellent, thank you. And then we simply take our fixed cost here of manufacturing plus administration. So I'm going to make that over here. So we have fixed cost on top, both admin and fixed manufacturing. 245, 650 plus 297, 606. We're going to divide by our 356. So that's our break-even point in units, right? I think I wrote the numbers right, hopefully. And I should get
152,600.
152,600, Allison?
Yeah.
As our answer, 152,600. Guys at home, is that good? Thank you, Mandy. Awesome, Brianna. Perfect. It's great. Great, great. Now the margin of safety is simply what are we selling them, or how many are we selling? And in the book it says expects to sell 225,000. We subtract our break even of 152,600. Gives me 71.4. I did my math right. I'm hoping. Does that sound good?
724. Yeah, 73,400.
Oh, 72.4. Thanks, guys. How did I get that wrong? Aw, that's not good. Oops, that's not really good.
You can make the 1 and a 2 into a 2.
That's too messy though, Alice. I don't want to make it a nice. I want to make it a nice number. Look at that. It looks terrible.
That works too.
There. Aw.
Just rewrite it.
There's something going terribly wrong here. Oh, I want to make this work. Well, what's wrong with that? This board hates me today. There. Don't know why that was doing it. Sorry, guys. And in dollars, we just simply take that. And we multiply by the selling price. What is the selling price? It was $812. And I get how much?
587,100.
587.
888.
Does that look good, guys? Auditors, are we out there? Does that look good? Oh yes, thank you, Miley. Awesome. Thank you, guys. All right, so the last question for problem 40 here is what would happen if the sales price decreased next year? Would this increase or decrease risk? And
Is that like the one problem on the homework, the problem that I emailed you about? With it increasing and decreasing? Or no?
it's slightly like that one, but not quite.
Okay.
That was talking about break even. If the cost goes up, basically our break even goes up, right?
Mhm.
This is slightly different. They're just saying in general, if I decreased my sales price,
Okay.
what does that do to my margin? What will that do? If I increase my sales price, what does that, or decrease my sales price, what does that do to my contribution margin?
Decrease it.
Yep. So if this happens, if I decrease it, my contribution margin decreases, which does what to my break even in units? Does it go up or down?
It'll bring it down.
Careful.
If it's units, it'll go up.
If my margin goes down, my break even has to go up because I'm making less on every unit. Right, guys? At home?
Yeah.
Okay. Make sure you have that concept down there. There's probably at least a couple of those type of questions on the exam.
So is it always backwards like that, or opposite, I should say?
Depends on what we ask you. I could say if costs were to go down, which makes my margin go up, right? That will make my break even go down. So it's opposite if the price is going,
Okay.
but it's the same direction if our costs are doing it.
So that would be the administrative, like in here, the administrative cost, all the fixed cost?
If those go down, my
Mhm.
break even goes down, which
Okay.
means, yeah, it's the same direction. Whether it's fixed cost or variable cost,
Oh, okay.
if they decrease, then my margin or my profit will increase, right?
Yeah. Yeah, because then you're buying cheaper materials to put them out back.
Yes,
Okay.
and I'm making more per unit, right?
Okay, yeah.
So that my break even goes down. Yep. So obviously, if this happens, if my break even points go up, well, that's a sign of increased risk, right? Because my margin of safety is smaller. My margin of safety is smaller. That's the case, we would have a more riskier situation. And by risk, they mean if we can't sell enough units, right, to cover our costs. All right, getting back in the groove. Are we all right, guys, at home? Okay. Also be aware, guys, there is a mic here at the bottom of your screen. You can turn that on and ask a question. So don't be afraid to use it. Just when you're done with your question, then turn the mic off for that back feed. All right, DOL, we started that discussion. We got part way with it. Here's where we were. This is problem 63 from Tuesday. Remember the word cost structure. That discussion for DOL, please know what that term means. It's the amount of fixed costs in relationship to a variable cost. What does a company have more of, right? And we talked about fixed costs being those for companies that have a lot of equipment in them, right? And our variable costs are those with a lot of labor in them. So that difference between companies creates a DOL which has more fixed cost. If the higher the DOL, the more fixed cost they are using to generate their income. The smaller the DOL then, the more variable cost they are using to generate their income. So we have Duncan, we have McDuff, 63. Let's finish her out. Here we go. Compute the break-even point in dollars for Duncan and McDuff. Think of the formula now. We want the break-even in dollars. So we have fixed cost on the top. My question is, what do we have on the bottom? what do we have on the bottom here, guys? To get a break even in dollars. Brianna says contribution margin ratio. Yes, very good, guys. Excellent. So how do I find that margin ratio? Or percent? right?
Margin per unit over price.
Yes, margin per unit over price per unit, but I don't have that information. So I'm going to be forced to use total dollars, right? So for Dunkin', the total margin over total dollars of sales is 75,000 over the sales amount of 375,000. So this percentage that we're generating here can be generated from the dollar amount, the total dollar amount, or the per unit numbers if you have them. Not all problems will have the per unit numbers. So I'm looking at what percentage here?
20%.
20%? Our fixed cost for Dunkin', a nice margin statement, it's all 50,000. Divided by 20%, 0.2, right? Our break even in dollars is how much?
250,000.
250. So this company, Dunkin', has to have sales of 250,000 in order to break even. That's the goal anyway. Again, remember what we're trying to do here is provide the company information that will help them manage their company better. Let's do the same thing for McDuff. The margin ratio is 225 over 375. Which is a ratio of how much?
60.
60%. Look at the difference between the two companies. Huge difference. Large difference, right? So what is the break-even point in dollars for this company? The fixed cost is much larger. They're more mechanized at 200,000.
333,333.33.
We're in budget mode, so we're only going to go to the dollar amount. $333,333 of sales to break even. And if you look at McDuff, they're currently at 375, right? So the margin of safety is not very big here on McDuff. So any slight change in McDuff's sales could hurt their company, right? They could be in serious, serious trouble. All right, we did the DOL computation on Tuesday. Here we are. Here we are. And we also computed a change in profit. Now, let's just pick on Dunkin' here. Dunkin' had a 30% increase in sales through our DOL. We multiply the 3 times the percentage change in sales, which is 30%. That means that their profit will increase 90% from the current levels of 25,000, which is given in the book. That increase is 22.5. So the new profit for this company, 47,500. Now, I'm going to do a trick for you. You guys like magic? I'm going to create a new sheet here. This is Duncan. This example's not in the book. This is to prepare you for the exam. On the exam, I might say sales is projected to increase by $112,500. So write this question down. Sales is projected to increase by 112,500 from the current sales of 375. So that number is from the book. 375 is from the book. My first question to you is, what is the percentage increase of sales? How do I compute that percentage of increase? Think of accounting applications and procedures back in your semester 1. How do you compute your percentage of increase? Using those two numbers. How do I do it? Guys at home, how do I do this percentage of increase?
Is it instead of like multiplying, you divide 375 by the 112?
Yes, I'd like it, you're right, you divide. I'd like to put this number on top.
Oh, okay.
The increase amount over the old number. What is that percentage? Yes, 30%, Mandy. Yep, very good, guys. Excellent. So I actually did that on purpose. So the question that we had here, back in the problem 63, I told you the percent. I said the increase was 30. But could you see on the exam where I don't have to give you the percent? I just give you the amount of increase, and you have to compute the percent? That's what I'm looking for you to do. Let me know what the percentage of increase is. Now, I'm going to draw a line here. Ooh, I cut my words off, sorry. My next question, guys and gals, is knowing that percentage of increase, knowing my percentages from the problem, how much will I was thinking May. Net profit, net income increase. So it's exactly the same question as I had before. How much in dollars will my net income increase by? What we did was we used the DOL of 3. We multiplied it by the sales increase of 30%. We just proved that out. 30% was the increase. That means my profit will go up 90%. We already did that computation. My goal here, though, is you can do it without the DOL, and that's what I want you to learn. So I'm going to draw a line here. Same question. How can I solve this answer? How can I solve this question without using the DOL? And the answer is use contribution margin percent like your 25-point problem is how you solve the same question differently. Isn't it great to have two ways to figure something out? Why is that so cool? It's like your own self-check. So, what's my margin percent for Duncan? What do we say? Margin percent for Duncan is 20, right? 20, guys. Yes, Michaela, awesome. So I'm going to use that 20% times the dollar increase, which was
The 112,500.
112.5. Very good, Allison. And I get what?
222,500.
Yes. Does that number look familiar? That's exactly what we came up with before using the DOL method. So using DOL, using the margin percent, I get to the same answer. In other words, this company makes 20 cents, right, on every dollar sold. That is a huge number for a company to know. Huge. I can't. It's the number one number out there for that company to know in their operation. The company makes 20 cents on every dollar. That's what the margin percent means. If I can make this margin percent 21, 22, yay, right? That's better. That's good. But if that margin percent comes down to 19, 18, then we got to do something immediately. So I'm hoping the computations, yes, are important, but my goal here is to make sure you understand what the computations mean. Otherwise, the numbers mean nothing. How are we doing out there? Is everybody sitting pretty good? It sounds like you all are. Are you having fun? Of course. Yes. Rock on. Love it.
How's your YouTube channel?
How is my YouTube? Did anybody look at the videos? Nice. I don't feel the love. I'm hoping the videos are working better. That was the goal of the whole process. Oh, I'm up to 5. Thanks, Michaela. All right. Not that they're active members. Here we go. For 55, I'm going to skip it for now because I might put that out on my notes for today's class later. Can we go to 56, please? 56, page 384. All right, we have a little income statement here. Elgart produces plastic mailboxes. Their income statement is as follows. Compute the contribution. Question 1. compute the contribution margin ratio for the mailboxes. Okay. How do I do this? How do I do this, guys? It's hard to type this fast. Very good, Brianna. Excellent. 294, 592 divided by the 460, 300. Excellent. Brianna, what did you get? $64%. Did that come right out perfectly at 64? Okay, excellent. So not a bad margin, guys, 64%. So this company is making 64 cents on every dollar sold. Pretty healthy. I like that. That's awesome. And question 2, how much revenue must they make in order to break even? Well, they had fixed costs of $150,000. So very quickly we can take that fixed cost, $150,000. Bandy, are you out there? Can you give me this amount? $96,000. Wow, cool. So their margin of safety in this case,
That's not what I got, unless I'm doing it wrong.
oh yeah, it would be more than 150.
It's 234, 375.
234.
Yeah, 230 divided by, yeah, 234, 375.
Mandy, is this what you came up with now?
It's like, am I missing a zero? Punch it in.
Oh, you did it backwards. That's probably, yep, that happens, guys, that happens. 234, 375. Okay, good. Not as good as the margin as we had before, a safety net, right? Here's my safety, my margin of safety between the 460, 300 and the 234, 375, but not too shabby. All right. My next question is, what is the effect on the margin ratio if the unit selling price and the unit variable cost each increase by 15%? It should be what?
It should be the same, shouldn't it?
Yeah, no change. Because I'm increasing by 15%, both at the same time. Next question. All right, recompute the margin ratio assuming a 4% commission will be paid. Also, what effect does this have on our break even? Remember, our margin ratio was at 64%. If I increase my variable costs, which that's what this is, commission is a variable cost, which will influence my contribution margin ratio. If my expenses are going up 4%, guess what? My margin is going to come down 4%. My contribution margin now is at 60%. Okay? Leads us to our next question. If the commission is paid, management expects sales to increase by 80,000. How will this affect our operating leverage? Is it a good decision to implement this additional commission? All right, let's go back to what's happening here. We've said our margin's coming down to 60%. Sales are supposed to go up with this incentive by 80. It will produce 48,000 of additional profit. So that's the goal. Now the question is, yes, this is my additional profit versus my additional commission. We don't know what that answer is. They didn't give us the commission. It's 4%, but how much? All sales, just the new sales, we really don't know. Even if it was 4% on all sales, 460,300 is what we started with. I'm assuming I'm going to get 80,000 more times 4%. It looks to be around 21,612. So not that you're going to do this on the test. I'm just trying to give you an idea as to how to use the percentages. So looking at this, if I'm making 48,000 more, that's my additional contribution margin, and I compare it to the additional expense, it looks like it's a good decision. I'm making enough on my product to pay for that commission. So that's the kind of the goal here. And again, this is more complex than what you'll see on the test, but this is something that you can really do quickly when you have that ratio information. I'm going to stop there. I'm not going to talk about the new operating leverage. I'm just going to stop at this point. So it looks like it is a good decision to make. I don't need the DOL to do this decision. Very good, guys. Are we okay? Okay. Let me know again. Use your mic if you want to. Let's do a multi-product break even. Let's see how this goes. 58. Door handles and trim kits. What is the margin per unit for each? So we'll start with handles. Trim kits. We gotta come up with the margin per unit. So selling price minus variable cost for both on a per unit basis. Let's see. The door handle sells for 12 with a variable cost of 9. $3 they make per handle. And trim kits sell for 8 and have variable cost of 5. Again, $3 margin per unit. Not sure why they use the same answer for both, but let's go with it. It says at this point, if Polaris sells 20,000 handles, 40,000 trim kits, what is the operating income? Let's hold off on that answer. How many door handles and trim kits? Let's do this question first. How many door handles and trim kits must be sold for them to break even? So this is question number 3, not 2. Once we know the margin per unit, we now have to do our steps. We have to figure out what is the mix for each, or mix for this company in sales. They sold 20,000 handles and 40,000 trim kits. So I'm going to put handles at 20,000, trims at 40. My question is, what is the mix?
It's 1 to 2.
1 to 2. Very good, Carla. And for me, I always like to get rid of the zeros if I can, to make the number smaller. So now I have 2 to 4. 2 is the greatest common factor of both numbers. 2 goes into both 1 and 2. So the mix is 1 to 2. At this point, now I can use my margin, ratio, per unit margin. So I'm going to multiply by 3. It's a shame they're both the same. So my package margin is 9. So this is my package margin per unit, 9. So that's the next step. I'm going to keep going right. Now my break-even packages, right, is my next computation. We're going to take our fixed cost. Fixed cost is how much?
$146,000.
146. Divided by 9.
222. Wow.
116,222.
No, just 16,222.
16,222. All right, thanks, Mandy. That's not the answer, though, right? Now we got to times that by the mix. So we got times by 1, times by 2. So for handles, I'm sitting at that same number, 16,222. And for trim, I'm sitting at 32,444
Yeah.
to break even. So based upon the mix, based upon the margin, that's what we need to sell to break even. So if you look at those two numbers and now compare it to the 20 and the 40, right? It looks like we're going to make money at this level of sales, 20 and 40. But let's see how would you figure out this income amount? Not doing an income statement. For question 2, what do we need to do to figure this question, which is operating income? Any thoughts on this? Mandy or Stephanie, how do I get the operating income here? Or guys here, any help?
The price times unit minus variable cost times unit minus the total fixed cost.
That's exactly right, Allison. But we don't have to do selling price and variable cost because we already have what? Margin, right? Margin is selling price minus the variable cost, which is exactly what you told me to do. So why do that step when I already have the 3? So take the 20 times its margin of 3. Take the 40 times its margin of $3. Remember, the margin is selling price minus variable cost already. So we've got 60,000, 120 gives me 180 of margin. And just as Allison said, we subtract the fixed cost of 146, and my operating income is 34,000. That's my answer for question 2, 34,000. You will save yourself a ton of time on the exam if you can use that margin to help you. Excellent. Mandy. Excellent. Contribution margin minus fixed cost. Excellent. Very good. Is that okay with everyone? Try to use your margin to save you some time rather than creating a new income statement. Let's see. Let's take our first break here, guys. I'm going to stop here. I want to jump to, in your packet toward the end, there should be blueprint. These are old problems from the old textbook I want to take a look at. So let's stop here, and we'll pick up from where we left off. First problem on that. This is like my pre-test kind of thing. We have a unit being sold for $640. So here's the selling price. We have some costs. And the reason I'm showing you this problem is because the data is scattered. It's not in a nice one spot location. So what we're looking for is our total variable cost, both manufacturing and selling and admin. So the manufacturing ones are together. Here's my variable manufacturing. But then you've got to kind of look for variable expenses elsewhere. They're not always in a nice even row or column like it was in the book in some cases. So these 4 numbers then are added together. We've got 200 plus 288, that's 488, 490, I think it's 520. If I did my math correctly, adding the 4 up. And what happens on the test is students miss the variable expense in the paragraph. So be very, very, very careful when we get to the test. All right? So 520 looks good. Carla, thank you. Our total fixed cost is the same problem. Here's our manufacturing. as a total. Here's our selling and admin as a total. And remember with these guys, these might also be per unit. So if it's per unit and it asks for total fixed cost, we might have to multiply this by the number of units produced. Right? That's how we get that manufacturing one, is by the units produced. So we add those two, it's going to be 72,000. Look good? So we put that down. Then they want us to make an income statement. This is a margin statement, right? So quite a bit of the information is missing here. So we're just going to put in the numbers as we can do them. So first off, on a margin statement, we're going to subtract off our variable costs, starting with cost of goods sold, which in this case, we're going to use a unit factor. Our variable cost is, for product, just the 3, 488. $488. And we sold 1,600 units. And also we had commissions. Is that what the variable? Yep. Variable selling. $32 times 1,600. And obviously the selling price was, I forgot already, $640. Make you guys busy at home. $640 times 1,600 sold. And this will give us our contribution margin. Subtract, right? So let's fill that in. We haven't done a margin statement in a while. $1,024,000. $488 times 1,600 is our cost of goods sold. $780,800. And then our variable selling or commission, $51,200. I'm going to put a bar here or an underline, make it look nice. Every subtotal should have an underline above it. I'm going to run out of boxes, it looks
Yeah,
like.
I was like, I got
It don't
confused.
fit. What is the contribution margin?
192.
Well, I'm going to make it fit. I'm going to force it. 192,000 even?
Yeah.
And obviously we have our fixed cost next. Both manufacturing, overhead fixed, and selling and admin fixed at, well, I guess I have the total here. My total fixed cost was 72, if we put that number in. I think what they wanted me to do is put in the totals. But my operating income should be 120. My main goal is that we get to that bottom number, right? Not so much how we put them in the boxes. Okay, so that's the layout of a margin statement. And obviously, to get the margin percent, right, I have the 192 here. If I wanted the margin percent, I could put 192 divided by 1,024,000 and tell you I came up to round it 19%. So 192,000 divided by 1,024,000 is a 19%. So for every dollar sold, this company is making 19 cents. So if sales increase by 200,000, what is my change in income? I'm at 120. How much more money will I make? If my sales go up 200,000, this is a very common question. Many times owners will ask me, well, if I increase my sales, how much will my revenue or my profit change, right? So what do I have to multiply the 200,000 by?
19%.
Yes. So simply taking our sales increase of 200,000 times the 19% gives me 38,000 additional profit. 2 times 19 is 38. Guys, are you okay with that on your computers at home? Okay. Please make sure you know how to use that margin. How does that work? All right. Calculate the number of computers that Golden must sell to break even. So we're still using this information. Our fixed costs were 72,000. But to get units, what do I divide the 72,000 by? $72,000 was our fixed cost. For those at home, Stephanie, Juliana, Mandy,
Ratio?
the 120,
Units.
120, does that sound good? Be careful, Mandy. That would be if I wanted the break even in sales dollars to use the 19%.
So
So
use the ratios, that's the sales dollars then? The 19
Yes.
she's talking about?
yes, the 19%, correct.
Okay.
Very good, excellent.
So units, we want to use the income.
I always say if I want units, I gotta divide by something per unit, right? In this case, it's the 120. So, everybody comfortable with how I got the 120? It's simply the selling price back here of 640 minus the 520. Brianna, what number is this then? 600? Awesome. Whoops, sorry guys. Now they want us to verify it by creating an income statement. That's too much like work. I'm going to forget it. On a break even, if I sell at break even, what should my profit be?
0.
0, right? So that's the definition of break even. All right. Going forward then, variable cost margin ratios, break even in sales for Golden, and they plan to sell 1,500 now desktops. Calculate the cost ratio to 4, the margin ratio to 4, and the break even in dollars this time. And we're basically looking at the same information, right? So let's just use the data down here now rather than going back and forth. So here's my data. They want the all-in-one, oops, which is right here. So here's our number, here's our number. So the variable cost ratio is, Juliana, are you still with us? Julie, yes she is. Awesome. How do I get the variable cost ratio here? I'm looking at the numbers on the bottom. What do I divide? Just for all-in-one. Oh, okay, sorry. That's okay. Michaela, it looks like you're trying. Yeah, it's just the 520 over the selling price. So this 520 over the selling price. So 520 divided by 640, and the margin ratio is that 120 over 640. Brianna just told us that 120 was the margin per unit. I gotta switch my decimal location to 4 because they want it to 4 places.
8125.
0.8125.
Yeah.
Then 0.1875 must be the margin ratio. Remember the two together have to equal 1, right, or 100%. So now at this point, we can do what we wanted to do before, take our fixed cost, divide by 0.1875, right? Our fixed cost was 72,000. Oops, sorry. Mandy, what is that amount? Thanks, Stephanie. 384. Guys, is Mandy right?
Yeah.
Awesome. Perfect. Thank you, guys. 384 it is. Cool. Excelente. Now they're looking at sales of 2,000 and 1,000. Let's go to the next page. Here is a different kind of margin statement. So we're selling 2,000. We're selling 1,000. This is a segmented margin statement. Segment being all-in-one segment, laptop segment, and they want us just to create and fill this in. And there's a new line here on a segmented statement that we've not seen before. It's called product margin. Now we're going to cover this also in another chapter, segmented income statements. But I think I'm going to skip that, guys, for now. I do want to mention, though, we had a discussion on direct versus common fixed cost. For a segmented income statement, direct means traceable to the segment. as opposed to the common not traceable. And in our definition of common, these are usually corporate fixed costs, not associated with any segment that we can trace the information to. These are traced only to the corporation itself. So again, please know that difference. Calculate the margin ratio for Golden. I don't want to do that either. That would have me do the whole thing. Let's do this. It's 2,000 to 1,000. 2,000 all-in-one to 1,000 laptops. That's a mix of 2 to 1, right? If I break it down to its lowest common factor. And then if I go to the next page, here's where we can do this margin computation. Much easier. It's just a better layout for us. So we simply take the difference here. 640 minus 520 is the 120 that we had before. And the 400 minus the 304 is the 96. Now I'm selling 2 all-in-ones, right, to 1 laptop. I just want to make sure those are my numbers. 2,000 all-in-ones to 1,000 laptops. That's my projection. So therefore my mix then is going to be 2 to 1. My package margin then is 240 to 1 or to 96 total. 336 per package. And that's the box here, 336 packages to break even. And then, again, to get used to that process, we're going to get, multiply each of these by this mix amount, 2 and 1. So 672, 336 to break even. I think we've done enough of those multi-product ones. If they go beyond 2 products, then you need special software to really figure out what is the optimal mix. Do I want any of this? I'm sorry for going back and forth, guys. I know that's very confusing on your end. I think we're going to have to do this statement. I don't know of any other way to do it, to get to some of the other questions. Let's see. Let's do this. Let's take this information. Let's see if we can do the income statement. Let's get that far. So 2,000 times 640, 1,000 times 400. What I want to do is go back to this third page, I think it is. Doesn't tell me. And multiply it by the selling price to get the sales. 640 and 400, I think it was, right? Yeah. So that would be 400,000. $640 times 2,000 is 1.28 million. And I know the boxes don't fit very good. Do the best we can for a total of 1,680,000. We go to our variable cost. And again, I'm going back to my instructions on the previous page. The variable costs were 520 and 304. 520 and 304. So I'm going to multiply that by the 2 and the 1. Obviously the 1 would be 304,000. And the 2,000 times 520 is 1,040,000. We can also do at the same time the margin amount. So I'm going to underline these a little bigger, including the total column, which is just the sum of the two. So we're at 240,000 of margin. I'll put these in green. With an operating income of 180, or segment or product income of 180. The other one was 96,000 minus 28 is 68,000 of income. And then for the total column, we're just going to simply add the two together. For cost, we're at 1,344,000 with a margin of 336. And then we subtract the 88. $248. And we subtract our common fixed cost of 46,400. I'll draw another line here just to break it up a little bit. In my ledger days, we got to double underline the bottom, right? So that finishes off the statement. So I came up with 201,600 for my operating income. Guys, did I miss something or mess up in any formula or computation? What do you think, guys? Are we okay out there with this statement if you're following along? Okay. All right. So I'm assuming my numbers are okay. So then it says, calculate the margin for golden round to 4 decimal places. What numbers do I use, guys? How do I get my margin?
Is it for the whole thing or for?
Yeah, you have to use the whole, yeah, what's the whole company, right?
So that's the 336?
Yes, that's what we're gonna use. 336 divided by what?
By the sales?
1,680,000.
Yeah, the 1,680,000 for the sales. Okay. That gives us,
20%.
oh, it comes out that nice. Exactly 20%. They want the answer in a decimal format. So let's just put 4 zeros there. Total fixed cost is our black numbers, right? So 88,000 plus 46,400. So that gives me 124.
134. Isn't it 134 400?
Probably. I didn't carry my one again, Carla.
46.
134,400.
Yes, Mandy, thank you guys. Stephanie, since CNOW or this problem wants it in decimals, the .200 is how I have it. But your answer is totally acceptable though at 20%. Okay, that's cool. Awesome. Michaela, yes, it will. The test will tell you whether they want it as a decimal or as a percent. So let me fix my mistake. Break even in sales dollars. We're just simply going to divide the two, right? Oh my goodness. That's not what I want. Juliana, what's this? What's my break-even point here? Juliana at home? Out in cyber world? 672. Awesome. Thank you. Excellent. Now, the problem with this is that we don't know which product is which, right? With the ratio and two products, you don't know how much of each you need to sell. There's no mix in this. And the author does mention that a little bit about this process. When you have more than one product, yes, we know the total sales have to be 672, but we really don't know the mix. Now, we're using 2 to 1 at this point. But if that mix changes, we really cannot compute this very accurately. So just keep that in mind. Are we on the last page, guys? Number of packages to earn an operating income of 268,800. So we take our fixed cost, we add our target income, right? And divide by our package margin. So our fixed cost was $134,400. Plus our target income is treated as a fixed cost. So we're simply going to add that to our fixed cost and divide by our package margin of $336. Contribution margin per package. And guys, Gary, you have the number of the break-even packages. Wouldn't it be 400? You mean I made a mistake? Isn't our package margin 336?
Yeah.
Where did we get the 400? Was that further back?
She might have seen like the price for one of them, because that's the price for like a laptop, I think.
I think it's 336. Hoping. Guys, Brianna, isn't it 336? Not the margin, the number of packages. Yeah, isn't that what I have? But I'm adding the target to my fixed. Right?
Mm-hmm. It's 1,200 packages.
1,200?
Mm-hmm.
That's not what I got. I got 135,200.
Are you adding both of these together
Yeah.
and dividing by the total by 336?
Yeah, 135,200.
It's 268,800 plus 134,400
Yep,
divided by 336.
yep.
I keep getting 1,200.
Okay. I'm referring, oh, never mind. Okay. Yeah, Mandy, that's what I got. We got 1,200 here also. Allison?
Let me redo my math.
Yeah, just redo your math here.
100 plus 268,800.
Hoping we get 1,200. There's a nice even number.
Because what I did in my calculator, I did 134,400 plus 268,800 divided by the 336, and that gave me 135,200. But when I redid it and I added them,
And it
pressed
hit
equal,
equal.
and then divided,
Yes.
it got me 1,200.
Yeah, good. It's the order of operation. Yes, make sure you enter your equal sign with the sum before you start dividing. And then we're simply going to take the 1,200 packages times the mix. 2 to 1. And this should earn us a profit of 268,800. Calculate the margin of safety in dollars for Golden. So now kind of hard. They're switching back. So we're at 1.68 million, right? If we sell 2 and 1.
Mhm.
And the break even was how much?
Was that the 672?
There's too many pages to this problem, guys. Oh my gosh. I'm sorry about this, guys. I didn't want this to be such a... Yes, my break even is 672. Woo! It doesn't have to be this hard, guys. At home, are you feeling flustered? Because I am up here. Oh my gosh. Am I grabbing the right numbers? I'm hoping you're following. Manny, you're being too nice. All right, thank you guys for being so nice. The only reason I'm going back and forth because I don't remember the numbers either, so I have to go back, and I don't have a hard copy in front of me. So this is what we sold, or what the author said they want to sell, and this is our break-even sales, and that's how we get the margin of safety. And I don't care about that. So it looks like we have $1 million basically of safety. 1,000,000.
8,000.
8,000, right?
Yeah. 0, 8.
So a huge number. So this company would not be a risky company at all based on that margin of safety. Finally, this is it, guys. DOL for this company is their margin, right, over their income. So going back to the 2,000 units and the 1,000 units statement, what's our contribution margin in dollars over our income in dollars? Maybe I'll just have you give me the numbers rather than making everybody so dizzy back home in here. What's the amount of margin per dollars? Mandy's helping me here. 336 over 201,600. Does that look good? 336 over 201,600.
Yeah.
And what's my DOL then? Carla?
It's 1.6667. Are you supposed to? It's 4 decimals after it.
Oh.
Yeah, it's
Or,
recorded.
So I gotta add one more 6 and then a 7.
yeah.
Guys at home, is that what you got? 1.6667? All right. Thank you, guys. Thank you, Brianna. Excellent, Mandy. Good job. Okay. So now it's asking if what is the percentage change in operating income if sales increase by 30%? So here, what do I do, guys?
You multiply the.
Yes,
the
take
grade.
our DOL, 1.6667 times which is our increase in sales. And I get how much?
50%.
50?
Mm-hmm.
Yay! 50%. 50%. So if I wanted the increase dollar amount of income, I would take the 50% times 201,600, which gives me 108, 100, whoa, that number, $100,800. Is that right, guys? If I wanted the income increase, it should be 100, 800. 100, 800. So I'm taking this 50% times our old income, right, 2016, should give me the 100,800. Guys, is that correct? At home? Yep, awesome, cool. Now remember guys, if my sales were 1,680,000, if my sales were 1,600,000, geez, Gary, you're beating this to death. Yes! The sales were 1,680,000. And I multiplied that by 30%. That's what our sales were going up, right? That's a dollar amount of increase of $504,000. What was my contribution margin percentage? I forgot. For this problem,
20?
20%?
Yeah.
That's good because then it comes out. Very good, Allison. Guess what I get? Oh, yes. That's hashtag awesome there. Let's end on a good note. It came out both ways, right? And that's the kind of the thing that I'd like you to start thinking about doing, if you can, to verify that this DOL computation is working, right? So that's the goal here. Okay, guys, I'm sure, have you had enough?
Hey, Gary.
I take your non-answer means yes.
Gary.
Okay, any questions before we go?
Gary.
Can you hear her? Are you talking? Oh, I can't hear you guys. I thought I would be able to. Mine's not, no. Oh, okay. Sorry, I can't hear you, Michaela. That stinks.
Can you hear me
That's good to
now?
know. I know in some rooms I can. Maybe this one I can't. It's the room that I'm in. Guys, as you're typing, remember I'll post the notes from today's class in your Blackboard shells. I'll have the video links also made available to everybody. Who, me? It shows it's not there. Down more. I can't go down more. Oh, here.
Now
Can you hear me now? Oh! There you are, Michaela.
Hi.
Hi. Oh, jeez.
I
Sorry about...
just
Go
wanted to
ahead.
put what I think Brianna was talking about before. And
Yeah.
it's the second to last page, the one right before the last page.
Yes. Where she was getting the 400?
Yeah, if you scroll up to like the middle of the page, right there where it says 336 packages,
Yes.
we're saying that that's the contribution margin, not the number of packages that has to be sold to break even. Scroll down a tiny bit. It's the next part.
Oh,
Yeah.
that sucks. Yeah, that was my mistake. What did I need to do?
Oh, big boo-boo.
I had to have the fixed cost here, right? Divided by 336. I'll make that change on the notes. I can do that before I save them. What is the answer? Brianna was 400? Ah, that was close. Guys, here, I'll do that quick. If you want to stay and watch this. What was my fixed cost? 72,000, right? Nope.
Was it the 134.4?
134.4. I missed a total step. 134.4. And Brianna says this should be 400. It's a good thing I can erase my mistakes. So 800 and 400. Thanks, Brianna, for letting me know. All right. Are we good now? I hope so. Oh, I forgot to put the 400 here. I think we're good now. All right. Let's save what I got. Hopefully everything else should be okay. If you have any questions, if Janet can't get to you sooner, just send it over to me. I'll take your emails. Guys from Marinette or wherever you're from, Janet's class, it was awesome to have you. Keep up the good work, guys. See ya. I think I can stop recording.